North America.
And another area that we can focus on is war. The reasons for war are not because of bad guys and terrorism and us versus them. It's a resource of fear that is projected upon us. Give me 1 second. A resource of fear that has been projected upon us that has enabled corporations to then go out and make money and co-opt the ideas that they have put out into profiteering. And I guarantee if people in the news got out there and said the truth, which is we're at war, so this company and this company and this company can make more money, we wouldn't be going to war. So they had to make up things. And weapons of mass destruction is the one that most people are familiar with. The next most famous reason is terrorism and 9/11. If we knew that terrorism wasn't the cause of 9/11, that 9/11 was a theft, an outright distortion to steal a bunch of resources and money from the country.
And more importantly, consciousness.
And, yeah.
Direct consciousness.
And to push everybody's thinking and everybody's in consciousness in a direction that they wanted it to go.
The shock and awe, and then surrender to what's the solution.
And ever since then, people in America know we've been giving up more and more and more of our rights to combat terrorism, and only lately have we become conscious of the fact that we're not giving up those rights to fight terrorism. We're just giving them up because somebody told us that this was the case. So I want to kind of go into the mass arrests and what's going to be happening. This process is not going to be comfortable. It is going to scare most people because it's going to get them out of their comfort zones and out of their day-to-day lives.
It has the potential. If people are not willing to be open to a paradigm shift.
If people are convinced that this is a takeover of the New World Order and that we need to fight it, it would be a disaster. But steps have been put in place and a level of consciousness has been achieved that leave relative reassurance that there is enough conscious energy and enough good-thinking people out there that can explain it to everybody else, along with some education that's going to be taken care of during this process, that effort and the efforts to undermine the changes won't work. So what's happening during the mass arrests? One day you're going to find out, just like on 9/11, you're going to wake up and either get a phone call from your neighbors or your families, or turn on the TV and realize what's happening.
Or the internet.
Or the internet. And it's going to be big. And there's going to be a lot of disinformation. And people are going to be talking and talking and talking and talking. But what's really happening is that the powers that have been controlling and enslaving the human race with fear and disinformation will be taken into custody. And they know it's coming. And they are running scared right now. They are absolutely terrified, doing everything in their power to prevent it. And each day that goes by, they're figuring out there's less and less possibilities of what they can do. So the questions that I want to address is, how do we deal with it personally? My first suggestion is to realize that you've already heard about this, you know what's happening, and you know that this is a necessary step in the changes for humanity. We need to cut out the cancer. We need to get the destructive forces that are working against human consciousness and human evolution out of the picture. They will be put into detention facilities, sequestered away, and their power will be stripped. After that happens, an education system through the television system, through the emergency preparedness means that have been put in place, you're going to hear on every station of every TV what's really going on and what's really the truth. And people are going to be talking about it, and people are going to be on the internet about it. And more importantly, the people that are hearing this video right now are going to be talking about it. And they're going to be able to finally get good information out. There won't be this, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid all the time. It's going to be, this is what happened. Bad guys started World War III. We didn't even know it. They used debt and fear as their weapons. And they have literally bought everything, every resource, every job, every means of making money with their power. And their power came from our fear and our acceptance of this debt-based system.
Which keeps you busy, which keeps you uninformed, which keeps you less able to cope with the amount of truth that you've missed out on.
So, there is going to be this transition period. It is a period where the people that work in the electric companies, the gas companies, the food distribution, water, sewage, those people are going to be very necessary, and they're going to be told first what's happening, what they need to do, how they can help. The military and the police will be utilized to put down any efforts that have been concocted to defeat this system from taking place, to corrupt it and to keep people in fear and keep people enslaved to this debt-based system that everybody's so comfortable with. The way to deal with this system is, if you happen to work for any of this infrastructure industry that will be maintaining the country on a very short period basis, and Drake has said anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, or 2 to 3 days to 2 weeks. The reason for the varying length of time is because we don't know how long it's going to take for people to get rid of all of this bad information and this bad thinking and this bad belief system that we've accepted because it's the way it is for so long, and plug into this new reality and the new belief and the new information of how things are going to work. There is going to be a force that tries to prevent this. That force needs to be addressed. So it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 days to 2 weeks. During that time, the best thing that people can do is to support their families, support their friends, and support their communities. To get everybody calm and open and accepting that these changes have been talked about for months and months and months, even though most people aren't aware of them because they get their news from mainstream media, who doesn't talk about it because their paychecks depend on not talking about it. Well, once the shackles are off of mainstream media, they're going to start putting out good information. It will take time for people to hear and then accept this new level of information, because it is huge. Massive amounts of information. 9/11, everything behind it. Wars, terrorism, our perceptions of other countries and their motives and reasons.
The amount of devastation that's happened to our people, the mistreatment of our people, the deaths of soldiers and the families that have been affected by their deaths, the soldiers that have come home who haven't necessarily received any kind of support, and if anything have been, sink or swim in the society of misfunction, disarray, and, really what needs to be mentioned here is that what we need to do is show up for each other and stop being busy and really be present with each other, with our neighbors, with our communities, with our family, and let them know they're not alone.
And it's going to be a very difficult time. Because, no, it's going to be. Because daily routine will shut down. Service industry jobs, banking jobs.
You're talking to a girl that likes it when the electricity is off.
I know.
So
but
potentially.
There is going to be...
If you like camping, you could like it.
There is going to be a shutdown of the normal routine throughout the world. But it's going to be a critically necessary time as well. Because people are going to need to take some time off and concentrate on what's going on. You're going to want to not have to go to work so you can plug into the information that's being put out and get a clearer understanding and get some clearer information and begin to get your brain wrapped around this level of difference between what you knew before the changes started happening and the way things are going to be after the changes.
Okay, wait, and so even for those that are the best read and most awake, how do you feel that they'll be affected?
I think those people will be affected by the fact that they're going to have to accept
the role of leadership.
The role of leadership.
So their cognitive capacity will be higher.
The things that I can say for sure are the least punishment that will happen to anybody who's participated in any nefarious activities, be it consciously or unconsciously. They will not be allowed in leadership roles. New leaders will have to emerge. People that have been participating and aware of the changes need to step up and need to start educating themselves to have a tremendous weight put on their shoulders, because they're going to be the people that support everybody else in the change. That's leadership. So those people are going to spend most of their time talking to everybody else and saying, no, 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 this is what's happening. Don't listen to, the Chicken Littles. The sky is not falling. Things are going to be fine. Necessary changes are taking effect, but the world isn't ending, and it isn't, the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new world. And that's the position that people who have never seen themselves as leaders are going to have to take up the mantle. So that will be the hardest thing for the people in the know right now to deal with. Our law enforcement system and our military system needs to be reassured that they are the peacekeepers of this transition and not the warriors of this transition. Their efforts will be to keep the peace, to make it so people don't use this situation to profit, quite simply. There will be no riots, there will be no looting, there will be no robbing or taking of other people's resources. If you want to try to do those things, you will be in a jail cell right next to the people who caused all the problems. So it's of everybody's benefit to